I'm gonna tell you a story. So back in the 90s, I was couch surfing, and I ended up at a friend's apartment. A bunch of my friends lived there. My best friend, his girlfriend, and her roommate. And I was crashing on their couch, and they had a tradition of Sunday morning breakfast. And so one of the first Sundays I was staying there, they said, go up to the store on the corner. It's called the Sunshine Market. Go in there and get a pound of bacon. Don't get anything in a package. Go to the meat counter and get slab bacon, no rind, and get it cut thick. So I was like, okay. So I marched up to the Sunshine Market. So this is like one of those little mom and pop stores where everything's like greasy and dusty and really overpriced and tiny, but like 5 people were working in there, and they're all like in these snappy white aprons and bow ties and little hats and stuff. And everybody just looks like amazing. And then I look in the back and like, there's just this incredible meat counter, and meat seemed to be the thing that this store really focused on. They had like 10 flyers up in a 10-foot by 10-foot store advertising meat specials. So it was like family pack, 10 pounds of hamburger, 10 pounds of chicken wings, 5 pounds of hot dog, 5 pounds of pork chops, and then just for fun, it would say like a 10-pound bag of potatoes. And I tried to imagine a family that could consume this much meat, like what was this place pushing? So I'm looking around lost, and then from the back of here, what can I get you? There he was, the shambling man. He was dirtier than the other guys in aprons. His apron was filthy and greasy. His mustache looked like a dirty dustpan brush. And he had a little greasy baseball cap. And he said it again, what can I get you? And I was like, oh, a pound of bacon. No rind, and cut it thick. Then he said it. You want it like Paul? Excuse me? Like Paul, do you want it like Paul? And I didn't know what to say, so I was like, yes, yes. And so I was like, okay. And he turned around and started cutting the bacon. I was like, who the hell is Paul? I'd never seen this guy in my life, and he as I watched him slice the bacon, he was like putting it on the scale, and the slices were like as thick as the soles of my shoes. It took like 5 to make a pound of bacon. I was like, holy shit, what the hell? And he wrapped it up in butcher paper, just like I knew he would. And I took it and I paid for it. And as I walked home, I like looked at the bacon and like out loud, I was like, Paul. And I got back to the apartment, and I asked my friends, I was like, hey, so who's Paul? And they're not ignoring me, they're cooking the bacon, they're making eggs. I was like, hey, who's Paul? And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, the guy at the store asked me if I wanted the bacon cut like Paul. What the hell is he talking about? And they're like, oh, Paul, he lives across the street, the guy with the Rottweiler and the pit bull. He's always cooking bacon, you can smell it. I look across the street at Paul's yard, and it's like filled with like junk cars and like 55-gallon oil drums and a boat, And I try to imagine, this guy, and they're like, yeah, Paul, so Paul cooks a lot of bacon. I'm like, well, what's a lot? They're like, oh, he gets a pound of bacon every day, and he eats it with half a dozen bagels, and it sits on his kitchen table, and that's what he eats throughout the day. Jesus Christ! So I try to picture this guy. I try to imagine what he looks like. He must be like this giant, greasy guy, missing teeth and tattoos and So you can imagine my surprise when I finally meet this guy. And it happened when I was changing a tire in the pouring rain, and I was using a bumper jack. And I don't know if you know what that is, but it's real dangerous and stupid. And I was using it in the rain, and the jack slipped. And so I, like an idiot, I grabbed the bumper, somehow I'm gonna Hulk this and solve it. So I'm just standing there holding the bumper of this car in the rain, and it's 11 o'clock at night, and there's this guy right next to me with the biggest jack I've ever seen in my life. It's like something you'd use to jack up an aircraft carrier, and just the thing's 4 feet off the ground, and he puts the tire on and uses a wrench that changes the whole tire. I'm still holding on to the bumper, and he stops and he shakes my hand and he goes, "I'm Paul." He's skinny. He's got black hair, blue eyes, just wearing a jumpsuit. And as he walks away, he goes, "Get yourself a scissor jack. You're safer." It was then that I started to realize Paul's bacon-induced superpowers. And so every time I went up to the store, sure enough, this happened. Every single time I went up, there's the shambling man. And every time he would say, like Paul. But so the next time I went up, he's like, "You want to like Paul?" And I was like, "No. No, like half a Paul. Okay, coming right up. He understood me perfectly. I'm using Paul as a unit of measure. And this is like totally acceptable at this store. And so I live, so then an apartment opens up down below, and I move in, and this Sunday tradition continues, and I'm so excited. I feel like I have a home for the first time in my life, and every Sunday I march up there. Every Sunday, want to like Paul? Half Paul. Boom. Every Sunday. The roommate moves out, new roommate moves in, new girlfriend, new car, every Sunday. You want to like Paul? You want to like Paul? I get another roommate, I send him up to the corner, like, check this out. And he orders 2 pounds of bacon, and the shambling man goes, 2 pounds? Paul's gonna be jealous. And it goes on for years and years and years. People come from out of town, I send them up to the corner, they come back. Want to like Paul? It doesn't matter. This guy is a rock. And then one day, my world exploded. I went up to the corner to get my usual. I walk in the front door. He was gone. They were all gone. All the guys with the aprons and the hats. The shambling man was there. I was like, were they closed? Did somebody sell the store? Like, what happened? And then from the back, hey guy, what can I get you? It wasn't the shambling man. It was the shambling man's stunt double. He was shorter and same mustache, same hat, but like different guy. Like they were making a movie about the shambling man and they cast this man in the part. And I was like, fuck, oh man, this is wrong. But I want the bacon, so I go back there and I'm like, a pound of bacon, cut it thick, no rind. And then he turns around and he's like, you want it like, and he fumbled, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. He's scratching his head. You want it like, and then very proudly I say, like Paul? And he's like, yeah, like Paul! He seemed really relieved that I knew the word, like they had been teaching him and he like forgot. And I was and of course he fucked the cut of the bacon up completely. He didn't understand what half Paul meant anything. So I was really depressed. I didn't go in the store for a really long time. Months pass, and then I decide, I need some half and half, I gotta go up to the store. And I open the door, there he is, the shambling man. He's putting up new flyers, advertising meat specials. He's unloading 10-pound bags of potatoes, into a pile in the front of the store. I'm like, oh yay, he's there. And then I look in the back, and there's the stunt double. They're there at the same time. It's like Superman and Bizarro in the same room. And I was like, whoa, what do I do, And so I went to the back, and the stunt double standing there, and I said, what can I get you? Pound of bacon, cut it thick. And he turns around and he goes, I swear to God, he goes, you want it like Jimmy? And from the other side of the store, the shambling man, like Paul! It's Paul! How many times have I told you it's Paul? Don't worry, they know who Paul is. They know him. So he cuts the bacon for me. It's perfect. And I go home and I eat it and things return to normal. But a few months later, Paul passed away suddenly. I know what you're thinking. It was not caused by bacon. But I was really sad about his loss, and I continued to go to that store until it closed a few years later. But to this day, every single time I go to get some bacon, or I cook bacon at home, I think of my friend Paul Tucker, and I'd like to dedicate this show to his memory.